I feel a certain kind of way about International Women's Day. Hi, my name is Dr. Carey Yazeed, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. Today, I want to have a conversation about the privilege of the soft girl era and how it pertains to Black women, and also International Women's Day. So, March 8th of this year was International Women's Day. Now, I kind of feel a certain way about that day. It is a day where women come together and we are supportive of each other and we uplift each other. And, it's giving everybody their flowers. It's about sisterhood. It's about empowerment, right? But then after that day passes, marginalized women go back to being oppressed. Let's just be honest. Like, this is where that whole privilege of the soft girl era comes in. So the other day, I actually put a post on LinkedIn. If you're not following me on LinkedIn, hey, head on over there. And I shared an article that I had shared approximately 3 years ago about just how this whole International Women's Day is hypocritical, basically. And it's hypocritical because, again, after that day, the oppressed go back to being oppressed. Like, some of us are going to be the oppressors and others are going to be the ones that they oppress. If you know, you know. And so, but it's during this one day where we act like none of that happens. We act like people from marginalized communities, women from marginalized communities are not being oppressed even in modern day society. And after that day, everything goes back to normal. And so I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is this really all about? And so when I shared my article this year, someone made the comment and said, well, I prefer to embrace softness. And I was just like, well, we all don't have the privilege to be soft. And then it made me think about this soft girl era and how to be able to engage in the soft girl era, you have to have a certain level of privilege. And if you are being oppressed, if you are from a marginalized community and you're still being overworked and underpaid, that you're fearful for your life, that every time you walk out your door, that you're experiencing some type of discrimination, some type of bias, and you are just walking around with this heavy armor on, and you really don't have the privilege of taking it off and leaning into your soft girl era. You can't afford to do that because society doesn't allow you to have that privilege. Society doesn't allow you to have a moment where you can just exhale and you can be vulnerable, that you can be feminine. And I'm not saying that marginalized women aren't feminine, but a lot of times we are walking around wearing a cape, that we have to be these superheroes, that we are really out here saving the day. Point in case, we now have people screaming for Kamala Harris to step up and do something and speak. And, now they want her to be involved in what's going on and to speak up for women. You didn't vote for her. So, yeah, she's taking her privilege and she's going to enjoy her soft girl era. Meanwhile, the rest of us are trying to disassociate with some of this stuff because we're like, hey, during the campaign season, we told you all what was going to happen. We really encouraged you to at least get out and vote because a lot of people just didn't vote. And now we have what is taking place. There are a lot of disgruntled people. And it's kind of like people are looking to Black women and women of color, Hispanic women, for us to come in and save the day. And so when do we have the privilege of leaning into our soft girl era? And the answer is we normally don't. And so patronizing us on International Women's Day about all that we've done and all that we accomplished, when the next day everybody goes back to normal, that those who were singing our praises on Saturday, March the 8th, on Sunday, March the 9th, went back to oppressing us and acting as if all that we have done for this country, for the world, now it no longer matters because we're just marginalized people, and, you know, all the myths that go with that instead. And so, you know, I think for me in this era, for my entire life, and I talk about this in an article, which I'm going to link in the description in case you want to read it, is that I've never had the privilege of taking off my cape. I've never had the privilege of just being a woman, that I've always been a Black woman, that I've always been seen as a minority, that there have always been things stacked against me, that I've never been paid the same as my white counterparts, that the pay gap exists. So if you're telling me to embrace my soft girl era, well, I can't afford to embrace my soft girl era because you're not paying me what you're paying the rest of the other soft girls who are leaning into their soft girl era. Like, there's a pay gap that exists. There is also, we're overworked in the workplace. So by the time we get home, we're passing out on the sofa, may not even make it to the bed. Again, you don't have the privilege of leaning into your soft girl era. You're waking up in the morning, putting on your armor to go out into the world and face all of the discrimination and the racism that is taking place, all of the gender biases that are taking place. You can't afford to lean into your soft girl era. And that's no fault of your own. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's society's fault that only some of us are privileged enough to be able to lean into our soft girl era, while the rest of us can only sit back, watch how you guys are on YouTube, on Instagram and Facebook or whatever, and you are really enjoying the finer things in life. And the rest of us, we get a glimpse of it. We might be able to touch it here and there. But overall, our lives consist of fighting. Our lives consist of defending who we are as people, defending our communities, trying to take care of our loved ones, to not worry. We don't have that privilege. So as we go through the rest of this month, because March is also Women's History Month, and again, it is a month where we celebrate and uplift and honor the women in our communities, please keep in mind that all of us don't have the privilege to lean into our soft girl era. Now, I'd like for you to drop down in the comments and tell me how you're feeling about today's video. Did I strike a nerve? Am I making sense? Have you leaned into your soft girl era, or do you not have that privilege at the time because you still have on your Superwoman cape and you're out there fighting day in and day out for equality for all of us? I'd like to hear from you down below. Again, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? I need you to hit that subscribe button so you'll know when the next video airs. My name is Dr. Carey Yazeed, and I'll see you next time.